Shalom, this is Amonute Tayac of Piscataway, your friendly neighborhood human, Sophia Spiritualite, the AmaruKhan Miriyam, and we are here with a video for this word that came up in a dream that I had, and to just tell the story quickly. In my dream, I was like at a really fancy Sam's Club, and at the Sam's Club, they have like samples and stuff. So I went over to the samples area and they had some fruit. So I had some of that. And then that was at the back of the table. And then as I walked around to the front of the table, they had some potato chips. And they were in a Lay's bag, but they didn't look like Lay's potato chips. They looked like those vegetable chips. And then they had like cheese balls, but they didn't look like cheese balls. They looked like the vegetable chip cheese balls. Then they had like 2 or 3 open like bowls of chips. And in the first bowl I came to was something that looked kind of like a pita chip. And the person who was managing the sample table said that's called Siddhar. And I was like, Siddhar? She said, yes, Siddhar. And we went back and forth saying that specific word, Siddhar, for like 5 minutes until I was sure that I would remember it. And shortly after that, I woke up and I said, well, let me look up this word. What is this? And so, I like to document my finds so that I can refer back to them when necessary. And I'm sure this information will be helpful because it does deal with the rise of Mars. And if you all are not aware, Mars just became a morning star on January the 1st, which means it can now be seen in the morning sky. It will really be able to be seen in the morning sky after its conjunction with Mercury on January the 27th. But as of now, it can be seen in the morning sky. So let's have a little talk about what so in my dream it was Siddhar, the Romanized version, but Siddhar is how it's said in Sanskrit, or Siddhar. So let's read some of this. The Siddhar, Tamil, Romanized Siddhar, from Sanskrit Siddha, in Tamil tradition is a perfected soul who has attained spiritual powers called Siddhi. All right, historically, Siddhar also refers to the people who were early age wandering adepts that dominated ancient Tamil teaching and philosophy. They were knowledgeable in science, technology, astronomy, literature, fine arts, drama, music, and dance, and provided solutions to common people's illnesses and advice for their future. Some of their ideologies are considered to have originated from the first Sangam period. All right, let's look at there's 18 Siddhars, okay? The one we're going to talk about is Bhogar. And I want y'all to look at the ones associated with with Mars, which is Sri Bhogar Siddhar. So, that's how we got. Let's look at the powers. Okay, Siddhars are believed to have both major and minor powers that are described in detail in various yogic and religious texts. They are also said to have the power of counting their minas to end and thereby traveling to different universes. First power, anima, shrinking, power of becoming the size of an atom and entering the smallest beings. Mahima, illimitability, power of becoming mighty and coextensive with the universe. The power of increasing one's size without limit. Lagima, lightness, capacity to be quite light though big in size. Garima, weight, capacity to weigh a lot though seemingly being small in size. Parapti, fulfillment of desires, capacity to enter all the worlds from Brahma Loga to the netherworld. It is the power of attaining everything desired. Praskayam, irresistible will, power of disembodying and entering into other bodies and going to heaven and enjoying what everyone aspires for, simply from where he stays. Ishtavam, supremacy, having the creative power of God and control over the sun, moon, and the elements. Vashitavam, dominion over the elements, power of control over kings and gods, the power of changing the course of nature and assuming any form. These are the 8 great cities or great perfections. Okay, so let's look at the next article. All right, so this is about Bhogar Siddhar. So this is the one that jumped out to me the first when I was looking at that list. And you'll hopefully see why in a minute when we get down to this discussion of the Lao Se. Okay, Bhogar was a southern Indian by birth, belonging to a caste of goldsmiths, who became a Siddha Purusha, under the guidance of Kalanginathar. In Bhogar's Saptakanda, he reveals details of various medicinal preparations to his disciple Pilapani, so named as he is believed to have wandered in the forest atop a pulley or tiger, and at every stage he quotes his guru as the authority. Also, Pilapani must have been a young man then, as he is often referred to as a balaka. It is said that as per the last wishes of his guru, Bhogar proceeded to China to spread the knowledge of Siddha sciences, and strangely enough, his journey is said to have been made with the aid of an aircraft. He demonstrated with the aid of, his journey is said to have been made with the aid of an aircraft. He demonstrated to the Chinese the details of the construction of the aircraft and later built for them a sea-going craft using a steam engine. The details of these and other experiments is demonstrated by Bhogar in China are clearly documented in the Saptakanda. Okay, Bhogar's guru, Kalangi Nathar, is believed to be a Chinese who attained Siddhi in South India and thus became included among the 18 Siddhars. Now listen to this. Lao Se, the founder of Taoism, 5th century BC, was the first Chinese to propound the theory of duality of matter, the male yang and the female yin, which conforms to the Siddha concept of Shiva, Shakti, or positive negative forces. This very same concept was first revealed by the Adi Siddhar Agastya Rishi, whose period is as old as the Vedas, which have been conservatively dated at 3000 BC. Also, alchemy as a science was practiced in China only after BC 135 and was practiced as an art until BC 175, when a royal decree was enacted banning alchemical preparation of precious metals by the Celestial Empire. These details are recounted in 2 existing Chinese books of alchemy, the Sin Chi and Treatise of Elixir Refined in 9 Cauldrons, both dated to the 1st century BC. The emergence of Lao Se with his theory of duality of matter and the journey of Bhogar to China seem to have taken place about the same time. And it is even possible that Bhogar himself went under the name of Lao Se in China, like another Siddharshari, Sri Mandavar, who was known as Jacob in Arabia. Okay, pause. I hope y'all understood that. I know my reading is kind of slow, but let me explain this to you. Understand what's being said here. Really, really, really process this. This guy, Bhogar, this guy Bhogar, he went under the name of Lei Sao in China. Now remember, a few weeks ago, maybe almost a month now, I brought to y'all the Tao Te Ching by Lei Sao. And I tied that book to, I can't remember which minor prophet, but I tied that book to a minor prophet because it was written in the same meter. And that minor prophet I tied to one of, more than likely being one of Dinah's 10 sons, because she had 3 daughters. Now we've been through what the 3 daughters did. And then I say, well, what did the sons do? So Lao Tse is one of these sons. I just want y'all to keep that like in mind, because if you read the Tao Te Ching, it's all about the way and the path and so on. This man is the one who gave that concept. And this also explains why my perspective is that Jesus was two different, had two natures and not, and was a man with two natures, not the natures having two sides. Meaning, it's a difference to say, like I explained in the last video, it's a difference to say that Jesus was both human and divine, and saying that Jesus was human and divine. When you say both, it makes it seem like it was like he had to take one on to put one off. Like, that's not really, and the way that doesn't make sense based on the way that he acted and the stuff that he did. I can't perceive it that way. I mean, I can understand why people think that, but myself personally, I cannot perceive it that way. I perceive it to be for him to be a man with two separate natures, one human nature and one divine nature. One nature that could do all this amazing stuff, and one nature that was down to the ground, and which is why he would have been baptized, to baptize his human nature from the sin, not because he needed to baptize his divine nature. But if he's only one person with a twofold nature, then he would have been baptizing his divine nature. Well, why do you, as a divine being, need baptism? No, your human nature needs the baptism, because that's the thing on the outside, not your divine nature. So it makes way more sense for him to be have two different natures, one human and one divine. And that's what the Oriental Orthodox believe, not the Greek Orthodox or the like American Orthodox. So this ties in all together. All right. Oh, and also this other one, that's Jacob. Now, I have to get into this other person with Jacob, but just understand that I believe when they say Jacob, they mean like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, like that Jacob, which is a whole lot going on, and I'm not getting into that one first. I'm going with this one because I've already been studying the Tao Te Ching, and this goes together. But we will get into this whole other guy, Siddhar Shira Mandavar, who was known as Jacob. And that also, well, we'll keep reading, and I'll put on some more things because I kind of went on a tangent there. This seems likely considering that before Lei Sao, I don't know what I'm putting, Lei Sao, the concept of duality of matter finds no mention in any Chinese treatise. Alchemy as a science emerged only after BC 135, 4 centuries after Lei Sao. There was a sudden spurt of alchemical practice after the emergence of Lei Sao, and the duality of matter and alchemy have been mentioned in South Indian scriptures that antedate Ley Lines by centuries. The shrine, it's a little bit bigger. All right. Okay. The shrine at the top of the hill, though later than the Tiru Avinakudi temple, has overshadowed the older temple in present century due to its popular appeal. Created by Bhogar, it was maintained after him by sage Pulapani and his descendants almost as their personal and private temple. During the time of Tirumali Nayak, his general Ramapayan handed over the puja rights to the newly bought Brahmin priests. The descendants of Pulapani were compensated for the loss of this right by being given certain duties of superintendence, right to some annual presents, right to shoot off at the Dasara festival, the arrow which symbolizes Subramania's victory over Asuras, right to be buried at the foot of the steps leading to the hill if some of them chose. At the top of Palani Hill, near the holy Mugran, which Bhogar had crafted from the 9 poisonous substances, there is an opening in the earth. It is a hole in the ground, the mouth of a cave which lies below. Bhogar often lowered himself into the earth, sat in the cave, assessing life's hidden secrets. He performed great austerities there, the magnitude of which very few in this modern age can fathom. There at the opening, Bhogar erected a humble shrine to the Great Mother, a few yantras, a couple 5 metal icons bearing the form of the mother and her son Murugan. They're talking about Mary and Jesus. He put a shrine to Mary at the entrance of to the Theotokos, technically. But he put a shrine to the Theotokos at the entrance of his temple. I just have to point that out. He worshipped a small emerald lingam there, about 10 inches in height. So remember we talked about the shivlings, their little phallus-shaped like things, and a lot of the Indians, they, I would say worship is probably the best term, but they use it as a part of their worship to honor, it's basically their way of honoring the Father, the great Father, right? Okay. His one and only disciple, Pulapani, perhaps the only one who truly understood the sage, kept him company at the entrance to the underground cavern on the top of Palani Hill. Listen to this. When Bhogar felt his outer work was done, he entered the gateway of the earth and stone and sat down in darkness of the cave. Faithful Pulapani heaved a stone slab over the entrance, sealing Bhogar forever in the blackness of his earthen womb. For 13 generations, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Let me finish the article. For 13 generations, Pulapani's descendants have watched over the stone slab that marks the gateway to the underground chamber. Long ago, Bhogar's little shrine was set atop that hallowed spot, and even today is still worshipped by the vigilant sons of the faithful Pulapani. They say that Bhogar is seated quietly in meditation even now, alone in the darkness, watching the slow passage of time. His breath is still, his mind is quiet, his heart unwavering, but through the dense dark matter of his earthly form slabs the vibrant and relentless flame of the Kundalini Shakti. There he waits. Well, he was waiting. Before we go on to the next thing, let me explain this. This is out of this world. Okay, now, in another article, which I'm not going to dig up because I don't want this video to be 10,000 years long, and I have to get ready. In another article, it describes how these Siddhars actually went to meet the apostles, and some of them also went to pay their respects to Jesus. Jesus was one of them. I should read the other article. Let me see if I can find the other one, because that first one didn't actually talk about this. I just realized it. Let me see if it talks about it in here. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to remember where I saw it. No, it's not this one. I already looked at that. I don't want to go into it. I don't remember what article that was. Okay, I don't remember what article that was. But in another article about the Siddhars, it talks about how they went to visit the apostles, like I said, and visit Jesus. And if you just listen to number one, he said that this article that we just read said that Bhogar put up a temple, a shrine to Mary, to the Theotokos, the great mother, at his entrance of his little temple that he built. And I don't know if it's little. I'm just saying that because I don't know if it's little because I didn't look for any pictures. But listen to how he was, quote unquote, buried. The same way Jesus was put in a tomb and had the stone rolled over the tomb. That is how Bhogar, quote unquote, ended his life. He was put in a tomb and a stone was rolled over the door. See, this is what I mean when I've been saying, like, the Bible is not, it's coded. It's not that it's not that it's simple. It's that it's coded. So people would have known at the time, if you get closed in a tomb, that you're one of these Siddhars. This would have been known knowledge of how these people executed their faith. This would not have been something that had to be said because it would have been known. This is what I mean by so much of our knowledge is lost that we don't understand what we're reading. So that, and those things, those 9 things that they describe, the Siddhars being able to do, Jesus did those. He made himself small to come into the womb of Mary. You know what I mean? Like he made himself larger than life by going from the great from hell into. He did all of those things on that list. So he would have been a Siddhar. In the other article that I read, it talks about how they decided that humanity could only be saved by with divine love, basically. And it is, my belief that is how you get a Jesus coming, because he made himself small enough to go into this outside realm, and they put everything together so he could be born. So this was a person that these people recognize. Yeah, I did a huge disservice by not finding that other article. I don't know where it is. I'll just have to do a part 2 if I can figure out what happened. I had a bunch of other information now I remember. Let me see. Is it here? No. Okay, so anyway, but y'all get the point. It's a lot of these things. It's a lot of stuff going on here. So that also indicates to me, or the point of this video is that you have this Bhogar Siddhar, which is associated with Mars, okay? Because he's associated with Mars, we have to look at what's going on in Mars, with Mars as a planet. So I had speculated previously that the incident in Miami was about some entities that were no longer able to keep their shape, and they had just shape shifted out, and that was what caused all of the chaos, because they weren't prepared to be shape shifted out of their bodies. And so I had previously theorized that it was as a result of Sirius, like being too close to the earth or whatever, forcing them to shape shift out. I'm adjusting my theory to include Mars as well, because I did not know that as of January the 1st, Mars is now a morning star. It is in at the lowest point in the sky, and you can see it in the morning, as I previously mentioned in this video. So let's take a look at Mars real quick, because I did pull that up to talk about. All right, so let's read this. Mars sometimes appears bright in our sky and sometimes appears faint. In early January 2024, Mars emerged from the sun's glare and was visible on the low eastern horizon before sunrise. It'll be easier to spot by month's end. Mars will become more obvious as the year progresses, especially starting around the September equinox. By year's end, it will be shining brightly at 1.2 magnitude as it races towards its next opposition in January 2025. It'll be in the morning sky all year. The opposition for Mars fell on December 8th, 2022. That's when our planet last flew between Mars and the sun. As 2023 began, Mars was still bright. By September 2023, Mars had faded and was difficult to catch in the evening twilight. Then it disappeared from view until the end of December 2023. Now Mars is found low in the morning sky. In fact, Mars will be visible in the morning sky all year and will reach opposition again in January 2025. It's in Sagittarius. Listen, Mars reaches opposition about every 26 months, or about every 2 Earth years. So Mars alternates between appearing bright and faint in our sky. It was bright in late 2022 and early 2023. Then it faded, and it came back in. It passed behind the sun on November the 18th. That's when we had our Mars Cazimi. And so January the 27th is going to have this conjunction with Mercury, and it'll be easier to see in the sky. Of course, Venus is also a morning star at this time. I'm not going to read all of this. I just want to get to the part where so the next opposition is January of 2025. Okay, and the reason why I want to point that out is actually, does it say what day it is? It's actually January the 11th, 2025, to be specific. So, I'm trying to figure out how to wrap this up to put this in a cohesive story. Okay. So you have Mars that's in basically in opposition to Mercury until it'll be in opposition to the sun basically in January of 2025, okay? January 11th. What does that mean for us? Let me just bottom line this, okay? You have these incidents with these tunnels. Now, remember, Bhogar was buried underground in basically a tunnel where they assume that he is sitting still. One of the things that's been going on is these quote-unquote truther people, the people who believe in Q, have been talking about how they're going around destroying all these tunnels. Well, now that I have this information about Bhogar, I believe that these people, quote unquote, destroying these tunnels are the reason why these different entities are waking up. And I believe that Bhogar is waking up. This is the bottom line of it. And that incident in New York, and then there was the incident in Houston with alleged tunnels that are coming up now. I believe that this is how we are going to gain some equality on this planet, because in that article that I read, they only talked about the nice side of Bhogar, but on some of the other articles they go into some other things that he is able to do, and I guess we're not supposed to reveal that right now. Let's just say we're not supposed to reveal that right now, but this is just to put into the ley line. These people by keep messing with these tunnels, has activated these Siddhars to come and see what's going on, because they left their adepts to teach the world. They thought they left everything in good order. And because they have been LARPing in our energy, pretending to be us, they thought everything was okay. And now they have been awakened due to all of this crazy stuff they've been doing with these tunnels. And they're finding out that no, everything is not okay. We are actually in a great deal of trouble due to the fact that we are unable to access the information that they left for us in these different places. And some of the information we do have access to, but a great deal of it we do not. We definitely do not have access to the powers of the Siddhars, which those powers, those 9 things, we supposed to be able to do those 9 things. Like, if you want to know if you're an enlightened person, that's basically what that is. And if you've been participating in our new moon and full moon rituals or experiments, that is what we have been working on, attaining those 9 things. Basically, there's no other way I can explain it. And so as a result, and because Mars is at this time coming into this, it's exalted, it's coming into this unique position, Bhogar has come in, stepped in and said, okay, let me see what I can do to get things back in order. And of course, if that doesn't work, then we'll have more and more of these entities coming up trying to figure out what's going wrong. This is why you have these fish beaching themselves, because something is coming up which they have to pay homage to, which basically would be Bhogar, because I would assume that some of the people who worshipped him, they left out of this life cycle, went into their next life cycle as a fish or something like that. You know, it's a lot of like stuff going on with that. I'm not going to get into all of that, but all I'm saying is this is kind of like a warning, and this is kind of like a point that we'll continue to research and keep your eye on. These Siddhars have been activated to come in and try and bring some kind of restore order to this planet. And I don't think that's a good thing for these people, because he knows our brother quite well. That's obvious from what I did read. And they've been using his works and not even giving him the credit in the name that he was using. So it's very likely that these people went different places and used different names. This is what they did. And so another thing about Siddhar Bhogar is that he actually gave the Mayans their calendar. So when we start talking about the lunar calendar, we're talking about Bhogar that actually is the progenitor of that calendar. So now I feel a little more comfortable going into it, because I don't particularly like using things that I don't know who came up with them. And since I've already read the Tao Te Ching and I'm working on some of Bhogar's other works right now, reading them, I feel more comfortable going into it. I like to know where it comes from. That's just as a matter of making sure that we're not involving ourselves in stuff that we don't need to be involved in, fighting battles that are not our battles. And so, yes, now we'll start to move forward with this lunar calendar. I kind of understand that. But yeah, this whole thing with the tunnels and the shape-shifting and all of this stuff, I think that this particular Siddhar is going to force a lot of these entities into their natural shape. And that's going to be quite, for us, for our people, you have him working with someone like a Cat Williams. And I saw Kelly Price also went off on some of these people about their cheating and stuff that they've been doing. So I hope that she comes out and is the force for Black women. Truly, I do. We need one of these celebrities to do it. She might be the only one that is actually legitimate enough to do it. So I'm looking for that storyline to kind of emerge. But yeah, it's definitely going down in flames. But as you see more stuff with this tunnels, with these tunnels and all of this stuff, they're disturbing these gurus, these Siddhars. And they really need to leave the tunnels alone. It's not up to them to destroy them, to seal off the entrances, to cement the entrances. It's not up for them to do that. They have been resting peacefully all of this time, and now y'all have woken them up. And this does require a change in thought process about what's going on, why it's going on, how it's going on, that I'm still processing myself. But I wanted to put as much of this information as I was allowed to into the ley line, so that as certain things go on, you'll be able to understand what's happening. So if you don't know where Mars is in your chart, now I've been talking about Mars for quite a bit, but if you don't know where Mars is in your chart, I highly suggest you get your chart, look at where Mars is, do some research, have an understanding of how Mars works in your chart. So for example, my Mars is in Virgo, and so being a Mars in Virgo means that I can manage 1,000 projects at once, and I'll get them all done. And I don't have a problem with, this kind of, working and working and working and really not taking a break until things are just done a certain way. And also not making lists and not keeping, because I just got it in my head. Also pairs with my Neptune placement, which I was just reading about. So especially if you don't know where your Mars is, it's time to do a refresher on that. Look and see where your Mars is in your chart. That is where you will see this Bhogar energy show up and really assist you, because I assume if he's coming here to take certain people down, that he's going to have to increase us, because the only way these people get removed is when we get better. And so we have to get better in order to really get these people out of here. And so that's why I'm making this video, to request that people look into your Mars. Really, if you haven't been seriously meditating, get back into your meditation. We'll have something that we'll do in relation to this as a part of our 40-day fast, or whatever, our cross-quarter. It's not a 40-day fast. It's our cross-quarter holiday fast, which is our New Year's fast. That we start on February the 1st. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I have something in mind, but it haven't been all revealed to me yet. So as I get it, I'll let y'all know. And the daily prayers will resume on the 1st for sure. At that time, we'll see how things are going. So I implore people, when you have a chance, look into the Siddhars. Maybe find one that resonates with you and do some digging. Definitely look at those 9 tenets and see how, if you've been doing these new moon and full moon rituals, how you've been getting closer and closer to the ability of those things. And, just take that into mind. So these new moon and full moon things are not, nothing to play with. Also, since we know that Mars, it's not just Mars, the nodes switch to Virgo and Pisces on January the 11th, 2025. And so this is why I've identified that day, January the 11th, 2025, is basically the last day, the last call for alcohol. You know what I mean? It's going to be the last day people can get certain things done. It's going to be the end of that. So I'm encouraging people, if you have, even if you've spoken to family and friends before with this whole Cat Williams thing, they may be more amenable to you talking to them about, their spirituality, that kind of things, trying to do stuff to help them, because the people who are not on the boat by January the 11th, 2025 are probably going to be left behind. This also indicates to me that we have until January the 11th, 2025 to get in position, is as close to being in position to as you can for whatever is going to be happening on this planet. It's not we've been granted more time because we're like, whoa, we're not ready, and because especially the people who have been doing the new moon ritual or experiments with us, by our keep asking for help, we're indicating that we're not ready. You know what I mean? When you keep asking questions over and over again, hey, we're not ready yet. Like we're not ready yet. Like we're simply not ready. We have no one here on this plane that is physically capable of being in this Siddhar position. So until we have somebody who is like that, who is able to be in this position, we're not ready. We have to have someone who can lead us through the dark, even if, someone in our community, because I don't know about other communities, but as the quote unquote indigenous, original, whatever, we don't have nobody. There's no spiritualist out there that I trust to do this. I'm just being for myself. There's none, because either they're way too one-sided or they're way too greedy. So we don't have a spiritual leader who can lead us. I don't know about Farrakhan. I'm not following no Farrakhan nowhere. So we have to have a spiritual leader, even if it's just us in our own small groups. That's fine, but we don't even have that. These people are not masters. We don't have any masters here on this land that have enough spiritual onus to actually lead us where we need to go. We don't have anyone like that. And so because we keep asking for help on these different things, it's indicating to the spirit realm that we're not ready yet, which is fine. We're not ready. We don't have everything together yet. We do need more time to put everything in order the way that it needs to be. And so I'm grateful that Bhogar is coming forward, and he's going to, now, when these things reveal themselves to me, it's always like super random, very, very gentle. So like in the dream, it was just going back and forth and saying this name over and over again, like 10 or 15 or 20 times. Like I never heard the word before, and I had never heard the word before. So that's how it works. So I implore people, please work on yourselves. Please look at where stuff is in your charts. If you're interested, you do have time to join us with our new moon experiment. I already posted the video. We got one more video this month about this, and then we'll go back into our little group, only because I want to be able to answer